You're just going to have to excuse my voice for this intro. I have been sick, and so you're just going to have to roll with it. But I want to tell a story before we get into this week's episode. In 2020, Lucas and I signed a lease to a 2-bed, 2-bath apartment in a little neighborhood in Denver called Lowry. It was covered in windows and overlooked a courtyard and was the place we brought our first baby home to. 5 months into us being there, Lucas quit his serving job at a high-end restaurant in Denver and embarked on his journey of selling medical software from home. Home being our 2-bed, 2-bath apartment. His desktop computer and keyboard was sitting on our dining table, which was also basically our kitchen, which was also our living room. I remember taking Lennox on so many walks and going into our bedroom so we didn't interrupt Lucas on his calls. Needless to say, we quickly realized that we needed a bigger place and we really wanted to buy a house. Insert Halley Zadeyan. We hopped on a Zoom call with her and another one of her team members and instantly connected. And that Zoom call started our 6-month relationship with Halley as our realtor. This was at the height of the housing market craze. It seemed like everyone and their mother was moving to Denver. We were so excited and hopeful to find the perfect starter home that was in a decent neighborhood, generally clean and updated, and with a yard that we could play in. By the time we hit month 2 of searching, we realized that we were buying during the most insane time. I wish I could show you guys what Zillow looked like back then. I mean, we're talking a 900 square foot 2-bedroom shithole built in 1920 was going for $500,000. It was looking bleak, okay? But thank God we had Halley because she always came through with optimism and trust and resources and homes that were more our speed. Finally, in the summer of 2021, we stumbled upon our home, 4 beds, newly renovated, huge backyard. And on move-in day, we arrived to our new house to find a cute little doormat already placed outside our front door and a brand new set of caraway pots and pans. If you know me, you know that's like, so me. Halley truly was the most amazing person to work with. She is in the top 1% of Denver realtors, did $9 million in production her first 6 months as an agent, has done 80 plus million since then, and has a confidence and knowledge that is unmatched. She is also a mama to an almost 1-year-old daughter, and in this episode, we're giving you the tea on what it actually takes to be a top-producing real estate agent, tips for aspiring homeowners and current homeowners who want to make smart but bold decisions about their home, and how to get into investment properties. Something fun about Halley is that she was also a private chef in LA for major celebrities before getting into real estate, and yes, in this episode, she name drops. So you bet your ass that we go there in this episode. If you like this episode, please give it a rating and review on Apple or Spotify. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button or leave a comment. If you're in the Denver area and want to work with or connect with Halley, her info is in the show notes below. So with that, let's get into the kitchen.
I didn't even know that you have a background in being a chef
Private chefing.
Yeah.
and cooking. I'm in culinary school right now. Did
I
you know
knew that.
Did you ever go to culinary school?
Nope.
You didn't?
No.
How did you have the balls to be like, I'm going to just start cooking for people?
Well, it happened because my mom was sick at the time. And so I learned to cook for her macrobiotically.
Oh, wow.
And
Wait, for people listening who don't know what that is.
So it's basically, it came about as a diet for people who have cancer. So it's a very low FODMAP, low,
like anti-inflammatory,
exactly, diet that is, for people who are having issues. And so when I moved to LA, I had a friend from New Mexico who introduced me to a chef there. She was an Ayurvedic chef and she was working with a lot of celebrities. And so I was working in tandem with her on a group of people who were, doctors, nutritionists, because these people have teams
Right.
for their healthcare and everything else in their house and their lives. So yeah, that's how I got into a super random like train of events. But
Did you ever want to be like a chef? Was that anything that you even were considering before your mom got sick?
no, not at all. I mean, I always loved to cook.
Yeah.
Like my
Right.
mom called me Mini Martha Stewart. I was like in the garden picking mint when I was 9. And
No
like
way.
oh gosh, yeah. Like yeah.
In the herb garden.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I respect
cooking.
that.
Yeah.
So mom gets sick and you're like, did you guys have an option to like outsource all the food? And were you just like, you know what, I'm going to do it myself? Like,
You know, I was in the process of moving to LA when we found out my mom got sick. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to stay here, figure this out. And no, it's like a super small town. So I had to do everything. And
What
Right.
small town? Where?
Taos, New Mexico.
Taos, New Mexico.
Yeah. Yeah. Northern New Mexico.
And
So-
then why LA?
well, I wanted to go to law school, which I never did. So like that's kind of how my life got switched into, you know, I don't want to be a part of this grind. I want to make my own schedule. I want to be my own boss. I want to have my own brand. And, you know, when a parent or someone you love gets sick and passes away, you know, it just sets everything in a different light.
right.
Yeah.
Kind of like, okay, this is one life. Like, what am I going to do with
Yeah,
this?
what's the perspective that you gained from that?
You know, my father was an attorney and I always thought I wanted
Okay.
to do that.
Gotcha.
And I was like, I'm going to be a lawyer. That's what I'm going to do. Like, end all be all. And
The theme for you is just boss bitch. Just like literally everything you wanted to do, boss
I'm
bitch.
in good company. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. Yeah. So I think I was just, my mind did a 180 and I was like, I want to do something creative. I've always been a super creative person, whether it's with food or art or social media or whatever it is. And so real estate was kind of a culmination of everything that I loved, you know, sales, creativity, marketing.
Absolutely. Selling, yeah, it's like a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right?
It is.
Selling more of a lifestyle than a house in some instances.
Yeah, exactly.
So you moved to LA.
Mm-hmm.
Do you immediately get set up with the Ayurvedic chef?
Yes.
Like tell us the kind of
Immediately.
process through that.
Yeah, so I was set up with her and she, you know, it's pretty like, it's interesting because you're in situations where you're like signing NDAs. You're like with people.
Oh, 'cause you're with celebrities.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I was working in the Bird Straits up in the.
And these
in
are people that
Hollywood
aren't even
Hills.
sick. These are just people that want to live fucking forever.
Half and half,
Right.
half and half. So like I was working with a client who had SIBO, which is, you know, a digestive tract issue. And that was my first client. And so I just kind of was meeting these people and working with all of these different, I learned so much that I feel has translated into the rest of my life, and especially in real estate, working in luxury real estate.
Right.
Being able to speak to that echelon of person
100%.
and, you know, kind of run in those circles.
Yeah. What's the secret ingredient to speaking and working with this higher echelon
High profile
clientele?
people.
Like, what are like the top 3 sort of ways you must carry yourself, or lessons that you've learned that you kind of like keep in the back of your mind when you're working with people that are buying multi-million-dollar homes?
Yeah.
People, you know, in the higher kind of.
Yeah. I mean, I confidence for sure. And
Yeah.
that's just something that can't be bought. Like I just have always been kind of like, I'm going to do it and it's going to work and it's going to happen type of mindset person. So I think, you know, just being confident is the first thing.
Because if they don't see you be confident, they're like, whoa there. You know, they
wanna
Yeah,
trust you.
of course,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah. And also it's just like fake it till you make it. In
Right.
some instances, no one knows everything. There are definitely things where I was like, gosh, you know, I don't know that, so I better figure it out real quick. So being a chameleon, you know, being able to read the room and kind of shape yourself into being able to have a conversation with that person. And for real estate, it's like that. I do that every day, whether it's a first time buyer
Right.
or a $5 million listing. You speak to those people very differently. So, yeah.
And I feel like you're probably like, are you figuring out with these high profile clients, are you like asking a lot of questions? Are you like about themselves? Are you listening? Like, how does that?
When you get to that level, you have to listen. Like the main thing is listening because
Sales.
they've already probably interviewed 3 or 4 other people, and you need to listen to what they want and what they need and what their pain points are, and really, create and tailor a specific plan to that person. And I think that's what I'm really good at. Like I can kind of find the voids in what other people are, the listing plan that they've given this client. And I'm like, okay, well, we need to, do this, this, and this. And they're like, oh, no one else is really.
Yeah.
I like to think outside the box.
Absolutely. And that's how you gain credibility so fast, So how do you go kind of going back?
Wait, before we go to real estate, because I think there's this big renaissance on Instagram
Yeah.
of all of these private chefs.
Yeah. I mean, not all of them are
Just
private. Some of
No,
them
but
just
these chefs who are private chefs for these billionaires or these
Okay.
celebrities,
Oh, yeah.
like
Yeah.
Olivia Tide girl, the pasta
Chef
girl,
Bae. Chef Bae.
exactly,
Yeah.
or like even like
Love
the
her.
videos like
Love
Benny
her.
Blanco makes. Like, do you know what I mean? Just like these videos that are of these private
Yeah.
chefs coming out. I'm so curious about that. I
Yeah.
think so many people are. What is the schedule like of that?
Oh my God, it's totally grueling because in LA, before I would get to the client's house, I was going to Erewhon, which now
you
everyone
were.
loves it. Everyone knows about it. Yeah. Oh my God.
You're like, bitch, I've been going to Erewhon before you knew what Erewhon
Yeah.
was.
I mean, it's like the Mecca, right? It's amazing. So I'm going to Erewhon. I'm going to the Santa Monica Fish Market. I'm going to specific shops to get specific ingredients and really like source what I'm going to make for the day. So you're up at the ass crack it on, running around in LA traffic. It's super grueling. And then you get to their house, and depending on whose house you're in, it might be a wonderful atmosphere. It might be a totally creepy, people are medicated LA type of house. Which is actually why I got out of that business.
You got to tell me what is this like? If you can tell us a story on the darker side, like something like
there's a lot of darkness.
I'm curious.
Yeah. I mean, so I will tell you a story. You guys know Daryl Hannah. You're too young.
That name
Okay.
does not ring a bell.
The movie Splash with Tom Hanks.
I'm looking
She's
him
a
up right now.
mermaid. Go
Daryl.
home and watch that movie because it was my childhood.
Daryl Hannah.
Daryl Hannah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And now she's like all plastic surgery and everything. But
Oh, I recognize her.
so I worked
recognize her
with her. And I don't get starstruck. Like I've
Right.
seen so many
It's the
people.
confidence, right? Gotta act like
they're
you've been there
also
before.
just people, like,
Yeah.
But her, I just, for some reason, held her like to this like different standard. And I met her and I didn't really know, I knew afterwards that she had mental issues and she was bipolar, like very badly. And I met her and she was just a totally different person than I thought she was going to be. So that was kind of
And
like a letdown
what was your
for
experience? In what way? Was she like totally mean? Was she just
Cuckoo.
forgot what she would tell you?
I mean, like, we'll just say mean, but I mean, it was like on another level of like crazy.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So just like not a human, like normal interaction, like.
No, and you wonder, and I think this happens to a lot of people in LA. And I mean, you see like child stars or actresses who are just become crazy. Britney Spears, that level of fame, I think it really messes with you. And if you don't have a super strong constitution, it's going to kind of turn you. And I will say my favorite client, Kate Hudson, fame has not changed that.
Love her.
I mean, what a family, what a powerhouse family.
Oh my
that is.
God. I mean, goals.
So you
Goals.
cooked for her.
Yeah.
Our-
And Goldie.
One of our top, like, kind of wish list couples to interview
Is Kurt and Goldie.
Is Kurt and Goldie.
Because my dad
level.
knows Kurt.
Amazing.
And we've met him a few times.
We met him in Aspen.
Oh my God.
And so we just have heard.
We're gonna, for the record, we're gonna make that.
Yeah,
shit
we're
happen.
manifesting this.
Yes. Oh, I'm manifesting it for you. But yeah, I think it takes really strong people to not be affected by that whole
Right.
scene.
Yeah.
Right. I think when you have like a larger family, when everyone's sort of in the mix, it kind of like holds
Brings
you
you
down
together.
a lot. When you're just like an individual,
Yeah.
maybe that's when shit just hits the fan.
Yeah. For sure.
Is that company still around in LA, still cooking privately for
It wasn't
clients?
really a company. It was just kind of a group of people that were working together. Most of those people are still working in those circles that I know of. But I was like, man, I got to get out of here because it's really toxic.
And so you move out of this situation. Tell us about that journey and how real estate was even really on your radar.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, okay, I think I'm done with LA. My main goal was to buy a house of my own. And I was like, that's not going to be,
Where were you living in LA?
I was living in Venice. So I'm like, I can't buy anything here at this point. And so I was like, I'm going to move back to Denver. I was thinking of starting my own catering company at that point. So that was kind of or a food truck. I had a few different ideas. Moved back here and I was like, I think I'm going to get my real estate license I love how people say this, on the side. Do it on the side.
Yeah.
Everyone I've ever known.
That's where you always hear it. I think I'm just going to
work.
get my license just because, why not?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, you either do it or you don't.
Right.
And I actually really think it's a disservice to your clients if you are like a part-time realtor and you only
totally makes sense.
said realtor.
I
realtor.
wouldn't want to hire a part-time realtor.
No, for sure. I mean, if you're doing 1 or 2 deals a year, you do not know the market and you are not able to fully serve your clients. So I just think it's a disservice.
I think to people who might be listening and who are like, well, I do have it on the side. I think it takes guts to really throw yourself into that because it is one of those careers where I don't think you're not on a salary. You're right. You're making commission, and so it is like a waiting,
feast or famine.
Right. It's a
Sink
waiting
or swim.
game.
Sink or swim.
So what gave you the courage to really do that?
Well, so I got my license and I was working for a team at the time and I had an awesome mentor. I mean, I got lucky and I worked really hard. It was 50-50 of that. A lot of luck was involved. But I loved my mentor. I learned a lot and I ended up going under contract with my first client, first house, the first week of being licensed. Oh my gosh. And in the first 6 months, I did $9 million in production. So I was like, okay, I wasn't doing it, part-time at that time.
Yeah.
I was doing it full time, full out. I was basically single, living by myself, didn't have kids. And I was the one who was driving out to Frederick to show horse properties on a Sunday because
that's sick.
I had time. So I really kind of just started from the bottom.
You mentioned a mentor. Was your mentor a part of that real estate team?
Yeah.
Just a killer?
Yep.
Selling millions of dollars a year?
Yeah, she still is. She's, still, left the team and switched brokerages. So she's still crushing it and she has more of the team structure, which I am going to be going into that. I mean, I really want a tiny team.
But you're going to have a team under you.
Yeah, I really need people to, I need more support.
Yeah. Being new to the game with a mentor, and obviously learning the ropes through someone like that. Because all the real estate agents I personally know that are super successful all started the same way.
Yeah.
We're sort of grasshoppers for a little bit and then kind of branched out. What were some of the, the key ingredients that this mentor taught you that you use today to be successful in your own right?
For sure. So I was shadowing her. I was listening to how she's talking to clients on the phone. I was riding with her in the car and going to showings. I was watching what she was writing when she was writing emails. I was CC'd on everything. So I really got to learn the lingo and sort of see the process in real time.
Yeah.
And that was just, really I owe a lot to her.
Did you put yourself out there to even be her mentee? How did you get connected with her?
Yeah, that was totally random because I was like, okay, I'm going to do some social media in Denver. And the girl who was going to hire me to do her social media, she's like, I can't hire you to do this. You need to go talk to Kristen. You need to meet this woman, because she knew I was getting my license. And she was like, you're going to be taking a step back if I hire you, which was so sweet of her. Yeah.
That's real right there.
Yeah, it was really cool. And we still have some cool connections. She's French Canadian and her kids went to the international school, which we're hoping to send Elodie to learn French. So yeah, it's just full circle. It's so cool,
I love that. Yeah. I love that. And even going off of this, so real estate agent, you do 9 million the first 6 months. So for anybody listening, I think that, again, real estate is one of those things that people either do on the side or they get because it's kind of easy to like just do it. You know what I mean? To get the license.
Oh, there's super low barrier to entry.
Right.
Like you don't have to have, a college degree or
Right.
anything. And really it's however long you want to do it. And I think mine was like a 4-month program. But yeah, and it is, I think there's some crazy statistic and I'm probably going to say it wrong, but like the first year, 60% of the real estate agents who are like first time agents drop out.
Yeah.
Just because it is,
Shit
it's
ain't
hard.
easy.
No.
Yeah.
And so for my question would be like, what's your secret sauce to making money as a real estate agent? And because I think that's what people expect,
Yeah.
but maybe like you're saying, don't actually do it because they don't commit themselves. Besides having a mentor, like what would your secret sauce be for you specifically?
I mean, from day one, it was trust with my clients. I'm playing the long game. I mean, with you guys too. I mean, we saw, how many houses did we
50,
see?
50 houses.
have
By the way,
PTSD
anyone
from how many
listening,
houses we
to
saw.
this podcast, we haven't even said,
Oh
Haley.
yeah, we did. But I'm gonna do an intro. That's why I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But yes, we worked with Haley for our house, and I remember Lucas being like, "She hates us. She hates us. We're taking
No.
so long. She
No.
hates us."
No, I think, and I use that. I'd like to tell like my clients in my sales career, like, look, I'm with you guys. I think the number one thing that they're concerned about is like this person that I'm working with is like trying to get the sale. Like they want to
Yeah,
rush the
for
sale.
sure.
They want to just sell me. But I like to kind of say, look, guys, this is going to be a marathon, not a
Yeah,
sprint.
exactly.
Right. And I'm
And-
with you on the marathon.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
clients can smell desperation. I
Yeah.
mean, especially
Commission breath. That's what some of my there's a
Yeah.
couple times I'm like, I've been waiting on deals to just come in, and people that I really respect that have been in my industry way longer, they're like, dude, your commission breath right
Yeah.
now is just stinking
Yeah.
up this room.
I love
man.
that.
Yeah.
Because
It's
people can
true.
smell that shit.
Yeah, and I think, last year was a pretty hard year for a lot of people. Interest rates were so high, there wasn't a lot of inventory. I mean, I was able to maintain even though I had a baby and all of the
'Cause you're a
other
killer. 'Cause
You're
things
built
that
different,
we
girl.
did.
Built different. But how is that? Let's talk about that.
Yeah. What's your secret sauce?
Yeah, like what's the secret sauce behind being a successful real estate agent compared to someone who doesn't make the first 6 months and just drops out because that shit is hard?
I mean, honestly, it's like straight up dedication and commitment and being just super diligent every single day. I mean, I'm in the MLS in the mornings. I haven't been doing it recently, but I used to time block my days like super strategically. And just really you have to be committed. I think most people aren't. And I think, again, that's something you're just kind of born with, commitment and drive, which I always have. And I'm definitely a perfectionist and I'm in competition with myself all the time.
Right. Competition with oneself. I
Oh
think
my
that's
gosh.
a big thing. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people, don't invest into that. And I don't want to make this like look pretty, right? Like this is not a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday job.
It's
Let's
very
talk about
hard.
that.
And I think one thing realtors are super good at is making sure their clients feel safe and make it an easy and fun process. But behind the scenes, we do so much and people literally do not know. I'm like, they're like, oh, I could be real. I'm like,
It's
go,
not just
go
showing
try.
houses.
I'm like,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, you just open doors. I'm like, you try. You try and be a therapist, a transaction coordinator, an attorney. I mean, you are a cleaning lady, everything. It's a very, you kind of have to be a jack of all trades.
Right.
Yeah.
The wearer of many hats.
Yeah.
So in terms, like, I want to get more specific too.
Yeah.
Like, what does your day even look like for you? Again, because I think there are probably people who are just like waiting for clients to fall in their lap.
Yeah.
How are you building those relationships, getting the clients, and then also like, are you? Because I don't know how it works. Are you like looking at houses and then being like, oh, I have a client that would be great for that house? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, there's for sure doing that. But I have my list of people who I'm working with. But, and I'm sure this is true for you as well, a lot of my clients come from social media. So I really am on social a lot. I like to support small businesses, local businesses. So I think I've kind of become like an influencer in the way of my clients are always reaching out to me to know where to get their hair done, where's the best coffee shop in this area, you know, who's a CPA, who's an attorney for this.
You're a resource.
Exactly.
Got to be a resource.
A community resource. And, you know, I meet a lot of people that way as well. Actually, like I'm doing my Galentine's Day event on Tuesday.
I know. I want to come. I want to come because I didn't get to go last year.
I know. So it's fun. So all of the people who are there, there's Botox, there's brows, there's an herbologist, there's going to be a lot of cool women there who all support each other. But
what time is it?
They were all like my clients at one point. It's 5 to 8 on Tuesday.
Okay, I'm going. You have culinary school, but I'm going to find a way.
Yeah, you just got a babysitter.
You could just stop by.
No, I want to come for the full thing.
You should come.
Mama needs a night out.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good example of not just being a real estate agent and calling it there, you know, putting a period right there, because that could be the avenue of not being successful. It's all of the extra shit.
Yeah.
You know, it's all of the involving yourself in the community.
For sure. It is a lot of community involvement. Yeah.
I think the hardest thing for people who are in our age range of 24 to 35 is putting in the time and doing free shit without seeing the immediate reward. I think we live in this world of instant gratification. Yep. I want you to kind of talk about that a little bit. How much it has paid off to like do the free shit, to invest in things that might not seem like there's a payoff right to begin with.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's playing the long game, right? So, you know, even being mentored by somebody where, you know, I was doing a lot of things voluntarily, but I'm also learning a trade, which is going to benefit me in the long run. So yeah, I mean, and also it's just doing altruistic stuff in the community, whether it's Habitat for Humanity or, you know, working with a local charity. That is something that, you know, gives back. And I feel like putting that energy out there just like brings people to you anyway. So I don't know, it's twofold. Yeah.
Yeah. Believing in that good juju.
Yeah.
That goes around and comes around.
Yep.
Just before we transition, I wanted to, just one more time regarding, because I think a lot of people, especially when getting into sales, like they really don't understand that it is not a 9 to 5. Like this is 24/7, 7 days a week, always on your mind. You always have to make yourself available to the client.
Yep.
Like I was taking, Amanda yesterday was like, why are you emailing one of your doctors on a Saturday? I'm like, honey.
Even though I'm not one to speak, like I fully understand.
Right. It's like,
what
look,
I work
like I am
midnight.
making myself available to you. Just for people who are listening that maybe want to get into real estate and really want to understand what the bad days look like.
Yeah.
Like if you could look back at one of like your most productive days where you're just like, I don't know how I made it like through this 15-hour day. What does that day look like?
Well, for me, so I use like negative things in my life as fuel. I always just say, you know, if like both of my parents have now passed away, I lost my dad in January last month. And so I'm like, if I'm not busy and I'm not doing something with this negative energy, then it's, you know,
it's going to fester.
Exactly. And so I think that is a main driver for me is I'm just like, all right, I'm going to get up. I'm going to knock this out. Like I'm going to do every single thing I can today to further my business, my family, you know, my life. And that's just kind of the way I look at my days, like on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, it's just using, you know, hard things as fuel.
What time are you waking up in the morning? Because weren't you doing berries at like 5:30 a.m.?
God,
you crazy.
no, I used to wake
You're
up
also
at 5.
now a mother of a little
No,
one, so I'm sure life
I
has
used
changed
to
a
get
little
up
bit.
at 5. I probably get up at like 7 these days, and yeah, I do berries. I love berries. I Peloton. I love hot yoga. I try and work out as much as I can.
Don't we all?
Because man, I mean, if I don't, like, I definitely notice a mental
Oh my
change.
gosh.
Mm-hmm. You know, I just have so much more energy and positivity. You know, when I'm moving my body and sweating.
Yeah, Amanda knows like when I haven't been to the gym in a few
Yeah.
days because I'm just like pent up.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, I'm
You're
like,
like
go.
tight. Like
I'm frustrated.
I'm like, get out of the house,
Yeah.
sleep. Let's
Yeah.
go.
I hear that.
Okay, I want to transition into some things that people could take away from you as a homeowner, current homeowner, or like aspiring homeowner. And something we always talk about on the podcast is telling us about a time where somebody might have burned the dish, meaning like they made a mistake and they learned a lesson from it.
Yep.
And so for you, I'm curious if you have anything, an opinion on if there's one way a current homeowner can burn the dish, what would it be? And then also a way that an aspiring homeowner could burn the dish.
Okay, I'll start with aspiring. So anybody that is not in the market, get in the market. Buy a home. Interest rates are always going to fluctuate, but in Denver, in the past 40 years, the average year-over-year appreciation has been 8%. And before 2023, the 3 years before 2023, the average home appreciation in Denver was 20% year over year.
That's huge.
In I think 2020 to 2023. So absolutely insane. I'll just give you an example. I bought this house in March of 2021. So just about 3 years ago. Bought it for $700,000. I put $100,000 into it. We're sitting in my basement. And I'm going to list it for a little bit over 1.2. So, you know, that's basically almost doubling my money. And so I would say do that, you know.
Take the jump. Do it.
Take the jump. Even if you are not ready, I always say you should start looking and start the process a year before. So if you have, you know, everyone calls me, oh, my lease is up in 2 months. I want to buy a house.
Yeah,
I'm like,
not enough time.
We can do it, but I really think people should start a year before. You should start looking at different areas. You should talk to a local lender. If you need one, please call me. I have amazing people, especially for first-time buyers. And use your realtor as a resource, because we have people and we are a source of knowledge for, you know, you guys, and we want to help. So that's for first-time buyers.
So give yourself enough time.
Give yourself enough time.
And get in the market.
Get in the market, even if interest rates are high. Please, people have such, your first house is not going to be your dream home. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to sacrifice things.
He's such a perfectionist. We talk about this all the time. He's like, we need to get out now. And I'm like, babe, this is our starter home. Like, relax.
Yeah. And it's awesome.
We also have an incredible starter home.
Yeah.
We do.
God, it could be
There's a
so
great
much worse.
yard
Yeah.
and-
Oh
It
my
could be
gosh.
so much worse.
The only thing that sucks is, and we'll get there, is the guy who renovated it so cheaply.
Well,
that shit's falling apart.
Most people do.
Yeah.
It's a great business. It's he did very well, you know.
Yeah.
He killed it.
Yeah. And of course, like, you know, your home is sound, but yeah, there are probably aesthetic things that are like, yeah. So it's hard, but being a first time home buyer, you know, especially when you guys were buying too, was really hard.
And that's actually advice I wish we took when we were back then, because we did feel rushed into it because our lease was ending. So we were like, we need to.
If we had a little bit more time, but also we were exhausted.
Yeah.
You know, we were exhausted. I think we're at a point where the house that we moved into was like house number like 50 or like high.
And it
like
was,
low.
and it is perfect for us. But
Oh my God, it totally is.
But yeah, looking back, there's always things that.
So for a new time home owner, like giving yourself time. What about for those new, like for the homeowners that want to get into the market, but like are concerned about money, are concerned about, you know, how much money they have? Like how much cash should someone have in the bank to really start entertaining being a homeowner?
So that is why you should talk to a lender. That is really, honestly, like, yeah, you should probably talk to a realtor first, but almost you should talk to a lender before.
Never heard that advice ever.
So you're really going to have a lot of data points from talking to a lender, because they're going to be able to tell you about new programs for first-time buyers. You know, you can put as little as 5% down, depending on what the price of the house is. You might be paying PMI, private mortgage insurance, you know, monthly, depending on the debt to income ratio of that. But that is, they're the numbers people. So they can really look at everything and be like, hey, I think this is a good program for you. This is the price point you should stay in. That's another thing. I never want people to feel house poor or feel like, you know, they're struggling to make their payments. I mean, you want to be able to live your life and travel and go out to dinner and do fun, go to concerts. And so that's one thing I really.
So buying a house you can afford, right?
Buying a house you can afford and not buying a house with, you know, the top level that you're approved for. You know, if you're approved for $1 million, but you know, maybe you only want to spend 800,000. So, you know, it's looking at that as well. And I really think I like to help people with that a lot. What was the question?
Then burning the dish for the.
But I just want to reiterate that was really good advice because I've never heard anything like that.
Oh my gosh, talk to a lender.
Talk to a lender first. If you're thinking about getting into the market, you have a specific budget, you make this amount of money, go to the lender before you go to the realtor. That's brilliant.
Yeah, and it's really cool. They can, you know, they send you different scenarios.
Right.
If you put this much down, this is what your monthly payment's going to be. If you only put this much down, your monthly payment's going to be a little bit higher and you're going to have to pay private mortgage insurance. So they are the numbers people. I can speak to it a little bit, but I am not like in the market in the numbers every single day. So we really work in tandem with the lenders, and that's why it's super important to have a local lender as well.
That takes so much headache and heartbreak out of it because I feel like you get set on a house that you're like, oh my God, I love it. But then it's a little too expensive and you're like, fuck.
Yeah. And rather it's like before finding the house that you like and then finding a lender for it, go to the lender first and understand.
For sure.
That's, I never thought about that. I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
So I think that's really good nugget of information for our listeners. Yeah. Now burning the dish for a current homeowner. Mm-hmm. Do you invest the extra 10, 20, 30,000 in a new maybe kitchen renovation? Do you what's something that a homeowner, you know, a negative thing they can do or a positive thing?
So I think that's a great question. If you are going to put money into your home, that's another area of resource that I love to help people with because we have awesome vendors. We have awesome, you know, contractors that we can send to you. There are things that you can do to your home that will increase value, like a kitchen renovation, like adding a bathroom, finishing a basement. Those are things that you can live through, you know, live in your house, do a small renovation,
right.
Add some sweat equity, you know, and then have ROI that you guys can have on your house, but also you have a new kitchen or whatever that you are being able to enjoy while you live in your home.
Which is huge. What are your thoughts on a on like an AC unit and new furnace?
Oh yeah,
you like that?
That's great. Yep, I think that's awesome.
That's like a home
for sure.
That's an ROI.
Yeah. Yep. Because when you sell your home and you get to inspection and people are like, okay, the furnace is at the end of its life, you know, it's 15 years old, 18 years old, depending on the market, you know, people are going to ask for you to
they'll
fix
negotiate,
that. So you might as well just have a new one and live with it and enjoy it anyway.
Because that's what we just did.
Okay.
We went from swamp cooler
great
to the vents were already there. So we just pulled the trigger and
and I
got
remember
a new AC
when
and
I was
furnace.
showing you guys your home, you know, there are two different types of cooling. So you guys have HVAC venting that you could add an AC unit
which was nice,
to,
you know,
which most people want. So if you live in a home where, you know, you have baseboard heating and that it's just sort of obsolete and people aren't able to put an AC. I mean, the world's getting hotter. So, you know, that's something to really think about. And that's something that your realtor should be advising you on when they're showing you homes. Oh, okay, well, this house has a swamp cooler, but it does have venting. You could retroactively add an AC unit.
Let's talk about this then, spicing things up.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, for us, this isn't our dream home. So putting money into it feels scary because we're like, okay, well, we want to save up for our dream home or just like our next home. And then we're like, but we also feel like if we want to save up for that, we have to put some money into this to be able to sell it for a little, like make a profit off of it.
Yeah.
So for spicing things up, how do you like spice up your home on a budget or just like, I mean, for our kitchen, we got a contractor out to do what was it? Just to look at our kitchen?
Yeah, like a quote. Like we got a few.
A quote. So he literally quoted us like $50,000 to do our kitchen, which like, I guess makes sense for what we were going to do, but also that's a little more than we want to spend. So talk about that. How do you spice things up on a budget? Or is it worth putting in the money? Like, talk us about through that.
Doing your due diligence and getting multiple bids.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you definitely need, I mean, we got 5 bids for this basement, ranging from 50,000 to 120,000.
Yeah, that's a huge difference.
So, obviously the $50,000 bid, we were pulling our own permits. It was, there was going to be some things that we were doing ourselves, but
Right.
we got 5 different bids and we went with the one in the middle. So definitely doing your due diligence on your contractors and getting quotes. Talking to your realtor, making sure, like, I know you're texting me all the time, like, oh, should we do this? Like, do you have somebody for this? Just making sure you have all the information. But yeah, I think, if it makes sense and you get a good bid, I think you should do it because you're adding value to your home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's something to take away from that too is like keeping your realtor in the loop after buying the house.
Yeah.
Right. It's like a collaborative experience for forever.
Well, it's a relationship.
Yeah. And like, don't think that you have to do it all by yourself.
No, and if you have a good agent, they will do that for you. I mean, I'm in communication with most of my clients. I mean, I do become friends with a lot of my clients, but I'm in communication with so many of my clients on the daily, whether they're asking me if it makes sense, if the numbers make sense to finish their basement, or if they're asking me where they should go get their nails done. Like I'm talking to people all the time, and that's one thing that I love about my job. So yeah, definitely using your agent as a resource for those and have them run the comps for you and look at the numbers. If that, does a $50,000 kitchen renovation in your neighborhood make sense? Off the top of my head, probably not. Mm-hmm. Maybe we could find some other bids.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I definitely noticed, because I think we had 2 contractors come out.
Okay.
One was like 55,000. The other one was like 42,000.
Yeah.
And they both entailed of like getting everything up to code and like doing new wiring and like all that kind of
Lucas
jazz.
is like, me and my buddy can just come in here and demo the whole fucking thing.
I'm just like, yo,
code.
I'm just like, we just want new cabinets. Like, you know?
Yeah.
So just kind of exploring our options there.
Yeah, it's hard work. I mean, it's research. It's I'm always learning too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a process.
What are some of your favorite ways to like learn when it comes to maybe a realtor listening to this and who's really focused on ongoing education?
Yeah.
Like, where do you get your continued education?
I think, so actually on Monday, I did my 4-hour yearly ACU credit update. So Colorado is a non-attorney state. So like if you buy a home in Chicago, you work with both a realtor and an attorney.
Oh, whoa, okay.
So in Colorado, we have to have more education because we are not an attorney state. So we have to know the contracts. We write the contracts. We do a lot more legal work, which I think people probably don't know. So yes, we do more than open doors. Right. There is a lot of legal liability in our jobs. My brokerage and one of the reasons why I switched over there is they do a lot of continuing education, and I have my own business coach, which is amazing.
Wow.
When did you invest in that?
Well, my brokerage just gives it to us.
That's incredible.
So that was probably the number one reason why I switched over there, because if you are doing something like Tom Ferry coaching, which a lot of agents do, it can range from like 50 to 100 grand a year. So for my brokerage to provide, like, I actually have 2 business. It's really incredible.
Yeah.
So we do masterminds all the time where I meet with other agents, and honestly, Lucas, that is probably the number one source of information for me, because the mastermind that I'm a part of, I'm like low on the totem pole. Like,
which is a good thing.
That's
right?
awesome.
I'm real
that's
low.
Amazing.
And everyone else, I'm hearing these agents who are, a lot of bolder agents who are doing super, super high luxury. I'm hearing what they do, how they structure their business, that they create their client avatars and they only work with people that they want to work with, that aren't wasting their time and aren't energy vampires. So I absolutely love the mastermind groups. The other thing I would say to do is host open houses. Talk to people, talk to other agents, talk to people that are coming into the house, see different types of homes. It's such a fun job. It's really, really hard, but I'm learning so much. I learn all the time, and no day is ever the same, which is like so awesome.
Yeah, that's what life should be about.
Yeah.
So learning from your peers is a big resource for you.
Exactly.
Love that.
Whenever you say open houses, I think of Selling Sunset, how they always have. Okay, wait, first, because you also were in LA. Talk about that.
Yeah.
How real is Selling Sunset?
I mean, so when I was private chefing, I worked right behind like the Oppenheim group.
way.
Yeah, so I would see those little guys all the time. But hey, like but yeah, so it's real there.
Yeah.
There it's real.
Pretty realistic. like as far
very
as
realistic.
But they're actually selling homes.
they
They're
are.
actually.
Yeah, because I mean, your network is your net worth. Like you are rubbing elbows with celebrities, the Jeff Bezos of the world, and people who are flying in from China and buying these, multi-million-dollar estates in the hills. So that is very real. Here, it is not like that. Yeah. I mean, I definitely love to get dressed up and host, beautiful brokers opens, but yeah, it's not like that.
I have to ask. That was one of my favorite shows when I was pregnant with Lennox.
Oh gosh,
because you were
I love
working in the
watching it.
restaurant, and I would literally, he would leave at 4 and not get home till midnight, and I was like 7 months pregnant. I would just make soup and watch Selling Sunset. I love that shit.
I love it. Yeah, no, it's super entertaining.
Yeah.
The outfits. Woo.
The outfits. I love Christine. Like I know
she's not on anymore.
I know. That's why I don't watch it anymore.
I know.
Because she was the show.
Yeah, it's definitely a very entertaining show. Something before we move on to another question that you mentioned with being super happy with the brokerage that you are now partnered with. What should that process look like for a realtor getting into this game and choosing between 5 different local brokerages?
Question. So I am a turbo, and I interviewed with 13 different brokerages.
That's a lot.
Because I wanted
But
to
I respect
know.
that. I respect that.
Because I wanted to know. And honestly, at the end of the day, I didn't really know I didn't know how much market share Compass had. It was a fairly new brokerage, super new to Colorado. I was like one of the first 40 brokers. I think there's 800 brokers now. So really tech driven, brokerage. But besides that, I met with Kristen, my boss, and I was just kind of like,
so it was the
vibe.
person for you.
It was for me. It was the person
getting into it.
But I also was looking at the brokerage as well. So I would say, again, it's like finding a contractor. Do your due diligence. Interview as many people as you can. See what they're all offering to you. Because like Keller, for instance, didn't even interview with them. But I think it's just such a forgive me, but like a turn and burn brokerage, and so many new agents get lost, and they promise all of this coaching, but I think it just looks really good on the surface, and it's not necessarily that.
Right.
But I think that's good advice to hear too, because I think, again, so many people want that instant gratification when they're young. They don't want to spend the time interviewing with 13 other people.
Yeah.
But
well, you're going to waste a lot of time.
That's what I'm saying. You're investing now so that you don't have
100%.
to
Exactly.
waste time later.
What was the difference between what made you go with Mile High Modern compared to the other 11 that you interviewed with?
Well, so I started with Compass, and it was because of Kristen. I basically went there, but the tech, all of the agent support was amazing. I mean, they're, designing your logo and helping you with marketing, and they have a very comprehensive, so does Mile High Modern now, marketing center where you can create your own social media content, plug in your photos directly from the MLS, and just sort of create, social media assets. So I really liked that. And then leaving Compass and going to Mile High Modern, for me, it was definitely the coaching. I wanted to create my own brand. I was leaving a team. It was super scary, but, I can't ever get too comfortable because, you know, then I'm not learning. And so, yeah, it was a scary jump, but it was definitely the right one. And I feel like I'm really in the right place. And
Due to the resources. I love that.
yeah.
Okay, moving before we have a new segment that we're gonna do called "Let's Get in the Kitchen," which is like food stuff.
Okay.
We're gonna get there, but I have one last question because I think this is another thing that people are really interested in these days is like Airbnbs, rental properties. What are the ingredients to getting started in an investment property? And I'm even talking like from like the idea of it to like the actual execution of it.
Yep. Again, it's starting really early and seeing a lot of properties. So my husband and I actually bought 2 rental properties in January of 2023. I had shown those properties to a bunch of my clients, and I really believed in them, and no one was really biting. And so it ended up being, it was December of 2022 that we went under contract. December is a super slow month for real estate. So like December and January is a great time to buy real estate because we bought it from its new construction and it had been sitting, and the builder had wanted to offload everything by August, and it's now December.
Wow.
So it, you know, the unit that closed next door to us closed for $820. We bought 2 for $705 each and negotiated the basement to be finished, a $30,000 cedar split rail, huge fence to go around the perimeter of the property, washer and dryer in each unit, and a finished garage. So, and it's also buying in bulk. We bought 2.
Right.
Yeah, right.
We're
for
already
sure.
cash flowing those properties. So yeah, I think it's keeping an eye on things, buying when the market is down, and having a realtor who I tell people, I'm like, you never have to respond to me, but if I see something that somebody might like, I text it to them. I'm like
Right.
always texting people stuff. I'm like, oh, whether it's for their next home or for a rental property. So yeah, it's finding off-market properties. It's having a realtor who knows about off-market properties. I am
Right.
always digging for off-market properties.
Where are you going to find them?
So we have agent synergy pages. I'm on a bunch of different, whether it's Denver agent pages, Golden, Colorado, my brokerage. You're allowed to, talk about off-market properties on those, on that page. So yeah, it's, hey, I have a buyer. They're looking in Wash Park up to $3 million. You know, they need 4 to 5 bedrooms. Like, show me what you got that's off market or that's coming soon. So
Love
having
that.
somebody that's always kind of searching and digging for gems for you, because in our market especially, off markets are just like that's the unicorn if you can find one.
Love that. And especially when it comes to investing in a rental property, when it comes to just the amount of cash, compared to like maybe a home where maybe putting a little bit more down makes a lot more sense. With a rental property, are you putting like minimum down, like the smallest percentage that gets you the listing because you know you're going to have other people kind of like pay for the mortgage on a monthly basis? Like, what is your strategy there?
And that's a good question. And it's really kind of unit specific. So I think that obviously rates for your income property are going to be higher. So when on your single family or on your personal home, rates are going to be lower. So that's definitely something you have to take into consideration. So, and if you have a good realtor, they can calculate the cap rate for you.
Okay.
So they're taking into consideration what your monthly mortgage payment is going to be, taxes and insurance, and making sure that you can get that rate in that, or that rent in that area or above, so that you are, at least covering your mortgage and everything else.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm always calculating cap rates for people. And if it's like a 6% cap rate or above, that's a good property. It's a good rental property.
When does it make sense for somebody to get into the investment property game?
I mean, as soon as you can. I mean, I think, and again, that's talking to a lender, right? So it's talking to somebody who knows the numbers, telling them you're like my personal lender who I love. We were really wanting to buy something last year. So he already knew what our finances were. He knew how many homes we owned, and he knows our situation. So when we kind of were like, okay, we think we want to make an offer on this, he was like, yeah, you guys, you're able to do it. This is what your interest rate is going to be. And we were able to calculate everything and be like, all right, this is a good move for us. Like, let's do it.
So ask for help, collaborate with people who know what they're doing.
Yes. And if your realtor doesn't know, then, Google it. I mean, like there's so many investment podcasts and Instagram resources, Bigger Pockets. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head, but I'm again also listening to like podcasts and shows and realtor, shows.
What podcast do you like for that?
I love oh my God, what is it called? It's all the millionaires that like sit. I'm sure you guys know what it is. I don't know the name of it.
Okay, tell me after and I'll link it for people.
Yeah, I'll link it in there. But also if you follow Bigger Pockets on Instagram, they're like one of my favorite resources of information. Also, Keeping Current Matters is great. Tom Ferry is really good. And we can link some.
Yeah,
of
we'll
those
link
as
them.
Well.
We'll link them. Should we get into the kitchen?
Let's do it. Before we conclude, let's do our new segment. Even though it's kind of, I know we've spoken about real estate a lot of this podcast, but we're kind of going back into the kitchen when it comes to like just food and something. And I think it's fun getting to know our guests and what they eat. So
I'm also such a big believer in food is fuel, and to be a high performer, you have to fuel yourself with foods. And also, I think food is so personal. It helps people get to know each other.
Yeah, it's
okay,
fun.
so we're thinking like, how do you set yourself up for success for the day? Are you eating breakfast or no? You intermittent fast?
Yeah.
Okay, talk how.
No breakfast.
What's your window?
So I've always was kind of like a natural intermittent faster. Like I just didn't know, like my breakfast is coffee. So I usually wait till like 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. To eat. And like my ideal day, I'm usually not at home at 10 or 11 a.m. But if I could make like an egg and avocado toast or like a sweet potato with an egg and avocado, that's probably like my go-to
first meal of the day.
But yeah, it's definitely not going to be till like a little bit later.
Still like an essence of breakfast food items though, like an egg or
can you start your day with like bolognese, or you have to have like breakfast food?
I don't have to have breakfast food, but if it's like 10 or 11, I'm definitely going to do like a bacon avocado egg situation.
He could wake up and eat like leftover Thai food.
It doesn't matter to me.
I mean, no.
I can't do it either. Okay, then favorite meal of the day.
Dinner.
Yeah.
Dinner.
Dinner. All day.
I love coming, and my husband and I cook like we maybe order in or take home like one night of the week. We cook all the time. He's
great.
become much more of a cook. He wasn't really like ever like that interested in it, and now he's super into it, and it's cute. And actually, he might kill me for saying this, but the other day he was like, "Can we watch Ina Garten, the barefoot contestant?" I was like, "Yes, we can." So yeah, he's always learning too, and it's great. So we love cooking dinner. Elodie sits there, her daughter, and it's a nice time to kind of talk about the day,
It's the best time.
reconnect. Have a good glass of wine. And
how do you come up with what you're making for dinner that night? Do you guys have like specific this day of the week we're making? Like, do you guys do like the Taco Tuesday, or is it kind of just
we don't do that? But what I've been doing recently is on Instagram, you know how you can save things and add it to a category. So Yannick and I have like a collaborative like food folder. So if I'm feeling just kind of like I don't know what to cook, I'll go there and I'll either make that recipe or some like semblance of what that is. So
I didn't know you could do a collaborative category.
Yeah,
we need to do that. He's always DMing me shit that he wants to save, and I'm like, stop DMing me.
But it still does DM you. It still does
it
DM the
does.
other person.
Okay.
So like he'll get like 7 recipes in a
Yeah.
row in his DM.
But I don't have to look back at the DM. I can go to the category.
Yeah.
Any go-tos for you guys, like famous things that like like you're making that it's gonna hit every single time?
Yeah.
Like some of your favorites.
So I make this. It's my husband's favorite thing. It's basically like a beef that I cook in red wine with a bunch of herbs. So it's like very French inspired.
Right.
And we do different things with it. Like we'll either do rice or a potato. Or
Is this a
sometimes
slow
I'll do
cooked?
kale.
Is this like a slow cooked?
Yeah,
like
like
so
a
like you braisen it? Yeah.
Yes, so good with some carrots and just super simple but very satisfying. And we like to eat it for like 2 days after.
Yes.
That's
it's
my
always better the day
And
after.
soup. I know you love soup.
And here's the thing, though. I only like soup in the winter. I cannot do soup year round.
Yeah, no,
But in
she's
the-
very seasonal with soup.
I'm very seasonal with my eating. Like right now, since it's winter, I don't want any fruit. I don't want any raw veg. I want like hearty. That's why
Yeah.
what you just said sounds amazing, because I want meat and like even raw dairy and just like something
Things
satisfying.
In culinary
satisfying.
school, I just learned how to make like a traditional onion soup.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he made that, and
she
I was
loved.
Oh my god.
And that takes, like you're caramelizing the onions.
Yeah.
I love like stirring things.
Yes.
A risotto, just like it's meditative.
Yes,
for me.
very
Yeah,
meditative.
yeah.
Okay, so the braised.
Braised.
Love
You
a
got to
good
give us that
braised meal.
recipe.
Oh yeah, I will. It's easy.
And then what's your drink of choice? You mentioned a glass of wine, but like what's your drink of choice?
So
Is this alcoholic drink, babe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so my favorite martini to make is it's a dirty martini, but the one thing that you add is you basically beat a rosemary stem.
Okay.
And you skewer the olives with the stem of the rosemary so it's super fragrant. And then you add cracked pepper on top of the dirty martini.
Ooh.
So it's like a rosemary peppery. I'll send you the recipe for that
Wow.
too.
That
With
sounds-
blue cheese stuffed olives.
Yeah, that sounds delightful.
Because he loves a dirty martini.
Yeah, it's my favorite. My favorite.
And when you you like beat the rosemary with the back of a wooden spoon and it
Yeah.
like, releases all the.
It's almost like smacking the mint leaves.
Yeah,
Yeah, it kind of just
exactly.
wakes that shit up.
Yeah.
Cool.
I actually love doing that. I love like smacking herbs and like cutting them and like
You love beating herbs up?
Yeah, I do. It's so cooking in general is meditative.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this was amazing, Haley. Thank you so much. Where can people find you if they're in Denver, if they want to work with you? Just plug all your things.
Yeah. So I'm Homes by Haley. So I'm on Instagram at Homes by Haley. I'm also, you can give me a call. I prefer that sometimes just to kind of, hear people's voice and sort of, hear what they need. Happy to jump on a Zoom call as well if you're, not here and want to meet face to face. Also happy to take people out to coffee. So, always open to meeting new people.
Love that.
Yeah.
Anything you're excited for coming up for you? Looking forward to like a big year or anything specific?
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to our Galentine's Day event on Tuesday from 5 to 8 at Mile High Manor in Lowhigh. And then I'm looking forward to moving into our new home down the
so
street
exciting.
Super
in
exciting.
Golden. It should be done end of September. So.
Are you going to document the whole process?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
You know.
We will be watching, and we wish you the best of luck in
Thank
that
you, guys.
process.
Yes.
And thank you so much for joining us today. If I can have you do one last thing before we conclude, or whenever we do conclude, obviously you know what 86 means when something's 86.
yeah.
So if you can look at the camera and just say that this episode is officially 86th.
This episode is officially 86.
That might have been the best one.
Don't